This is Get Real with Bob and Stacey, the show that helps you learn about the mortgage and real estate markets. Get the inside scoop from their expert list of guests and have some fun along the way. Now, here's Bob Gallagher and Stacey Alcorn.
Welcome back to Get Real with Bob and Stacey. You're joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment, and our guest for this segment is Eli Crane from Bottle Breacher, CEO and founder of Bottle Breacher. Welcome to the show, Eli.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So just a quick background on Eli Crane. I had the privilege of interviewing him recently. He runs a company called Bottle Breacher, and basically what it is, it's a company that takes 50 caliber bullets and turns them into bottle openers, which me describing it does no service to it at all. You need to go to the website to check them out, bottlebreacher.com, but they're awesome gifts, etc. And he started this company a few years ago, then went on Shark Tank, got backed by Mr. Wonderful and Mark Cuban, and now has done over $8 million in sales in this incredible product. So, Eli, tell us a little bit about the journey. First of all, how did you invent this product?
Right. Thank you. So when I started working on this product, I was in the Navy. I still had 2 more years active duty, and I knew that I was going to be getting out of the Navy in 2014, and I was, like many people exiting the military, I was wondering, how am I going to provide for my family? So I had another business at the time, and I honestly just went out to the garage trying to make something cool. In 2009, my little brother, who was a helicopter pilot in the Marine Corps, brought home a very generic 50 caliber bottle opener. And I thought it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And when my buddies came over to my house to have beers with me, their sentiment was the same. They were all like, wow, that is the coolest thing. Where did you get it? And I said, well, unless you go to the Philippines, I don't know where you can get it. So a couple of years later, I decided to take that very generic brass bottle opener and go into my garage, paint it black, put our Punisher logo from SEAL Team 3 on it and a sticker on it, and then hand polished the tip and the base. And then I took it to work with me the next day, and all my buddies went bananas over it. They were like, hey, I need you to make me 5 of those for Christmas. I need, one for every guy in my family. And that's kind of when the light bulb went on that, hey, if these guys are willing to buy it off me, I can sell these to anybody. I just have to figure out how to market it to them. So we started working in the garage. At that time, I asked my wife, hey, can you help me sell this? Because she'd been successful with a couple online businesses. And so she did some research, and she came back with, hey, let's throw these things up on Etsy. And I was like, Etsy? What is Etsy? I've never even heard of it. Why don't we do like Amazon or eBay or something I've heard of? And she's like, no, dummy, trust me. This is going to be the ticket. So I was like, okay, I'll let you put it on Etsy. We put it on Etsy. My goal initially was to do $500 a month, just supplemental income. January 2013, our first month, we did $375, and I'm like, yes, we're on the right path. We're almost there, $125 more, and we're going to be there. And so 6 months later, we blew my expectations out of the water. We were already doing $7,500 a month out of that one-car garage in San Diego. I was making them, Jen was selling them, and I was tracking down manufacturing in the area. Fast forward 1 year, and we were doing $80,000 out of that one-car garage. And a lot of it happened from getting an education by watching the show, The Shark Tank. Me and Jen were watching an episode. Mr. Wonderful was tearing apart an entrepreneur for not having brand recognition on his product. As soon as it left the package, there was no branding, no name on it. After the episode, I told Jen as we were sitting on the couch, hey, we need to figure out how to get Bottle Breacher on each and every one of these. My research led us to laser engraving. I thought laser engraving could etch Bottle Breacher on each and every 50 cal shell that left our garage. And so I actually had enough money in the bank to buy a used machine. They weren't cheap. Used machines were running about $10,000, $12,000. And instead of risking my family's nest egg, I made one of the best business moves I've ever made, and I sold a liability, my 2004 Big Dog Canine Chopper, which was my baby, and I bought this laser engraver, and it was almost a perfect swap. I think the bike sold for like $10,500. The laser engraver was like $11,000, and within a month and a half, our sales went from $7,500 a month to $22,000 a month. Wow. So, the light bulb again went on, and, I was like, this is going to be a lot more than supplemental income for your family, Eli. This is going to be how you're going to feed your family when you get out of the Navy. So just, kept following that recipe, kept buying more laser engravers, kept reinvesting as much money as possible back into the business. And by almost the time I was getting ready to get out of the military, like I said, we were doing $80,000 out of that one-car garage. And that's when I was able to go pitch to the Shark Tank. And so they saw that we had sales. They saw that, we had a pretty cool product as they were able to hold it in their hands on stage. And I think they saw that Jen and I were, we were very committed to providing for our family and growing something special.
So tell us a little bit about, just for example, the journey on the Shark Tank. Did you have to go through like multiple rounds for them to get you onto the show? Oh yeah, it's a pretty grueling process for anybody that's thinking about going through it. They have over, I think, 50,000 applicants every single year, and I think about 170 actually get to actually tape, and then even that number's cut down to who actually airs. And so once they tell you, hey, whether you send in an email or whether you go to a open casting call like I did, hey, you're moving on to the next round, there's several rounds in between there. Mm-hmm. They'll have you make a video, which will go to even people higher up in the Shark Tank that will make the decision on whether they want to assign you some producers. And once they assign you a couple producers, it's kind of like every single week they pick a time. Ours was Friday at 4. They would call us. The first thing we did was we developed our pitch. We would go over our pitch every day. They would ask us some simple questions, and then they would have us filling out a ton of paperwork and legal documentation. So once they told us, hey, we like what you're doing, we want more of it, it was probably another 6 or 8 weeks before we actually got to go to LA. And when you go to LA to film for the show, the first day you're there, just because they fly you to LA does not mean you're going to get to be on TV. The first day you're there, it's just kind of like one last rehearsal to see if they like you, to see if as you're going to stand on the actual stage, you're going to present to some of the producers, and if they think you project well enough, if they think you're going to make good TV, then they'll call you that night and let you know you're coming back the next day to pitch to the Sharks. And even then, you're not guaranteed to even get to go in front of the Sharks. I know people that came back the next day that they ran out of time and they had to fly home. So it's pretty, me and Jen were actually the last pitch of the day, and the Sharks were so tired by the time we got in there at 4 p.m. that I don't even think Mark Cuban got off his cell phone until halfway through the pitch. And I was thinking to myself, come on, buddy, pay attention. We want to get you. But, it's just, that's the nature of the beast. Wow. So I know that you ended up getting backed by both Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary. And when we talked, you said basically like your business literally changed overnight and you had to figure out how to survive just to fill the orders. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, a lot. This is something that we've learned the hard way. Mm-hmm. The Shark Tank effect is a double-edged sword. It's fantastic for many of us, and for some people, it's actually deathly. And a lot of people end up drowning in their own success. Like a lot of people that are sitting there watching the show, they're rooting for you. They want you to get a deal. And what they don't realize is for a lot of us little mom and pop shops that, make between 50 units to 100 units on a good day, then we go on that show, the Shark Tank, and we have to make 10 times that the very next day. That stuff doesn't happen overnight. And so, but like everybody else, just like myself, we all have such a short attention spans, and we really don't even care what anybody else, what this business is going through. We just want our stuff now, mm-hmm. which I totally understand. I'm the same way, so it's like we had a 3-month back order and we had a serious customer service problem. And it wasn't because we weren't throwing everything that we possibly could at it and working extremely long hours and just racking our brains trying to figure out, how we could solve this problem. It was just because, that doesn't happen overnight. As a matter of fact, customers were even, finding Mark and Kevin's emailing them and being like, hey, where's my product?
Oh,
why did you guys invest with these guys? And it's what we've learned is that happens to like the majority of their company. So mm-hmm. It doesn't make it any easier really to deal with, but it just helps you to understand that, the companies have been there, done that, and that if you hang in there and you keep working your butt off, you can clear out that back order and get back on the right track.
And
Yes.
what did you do to actually deal with the increase in orders? How did you ramp up production?
No, that's it. The biggest thing we did was it wasn't a question of we didn't have enough laser engravers. It wasn't a question of not enough space or enough bodies. It was actually a question of just thinking outside the box. And we brought in some new technology, and we really had to revamp our production process. Just to give you an idea, in these laser engravers that we used before the Shark Tank, every single bottle breacher that left our facility was done one at a time in a rotary attachment. And I won't get too much into it to bore the snot out of your listeners, but basically we had to actually put in some retrofit our laser engravers with some thicker lenses because of a proximity issue, the distance between the laser and the actual piece it's engraving. Because our 50 caliber rounds are cylindrical, if you try and do them in a fixture, which would seem like common sense, where you could do 40 of them at a time instead of one of them at a time, in a rotary attachment that rotates the piece as it's printing, it just wasn't working because we were dealing with drop off and proximity, and the laser just wasn't strong enough to etch on the portion that was starting to rotate down. So basically we brought in new lenses, we built new fixturing, and then we had to start processing our orders days before, because we used to have the engravers themselves write the file before they programmed it. So I noticed that my engravers were sitting, idle for, probably 75% of every single hour. And I was like, there's no way we're going to clear up this back order if these engravers aren't running nonstop.
Wow.
That's interesting. I want you to touch just for a second on the fact that you're a Made in the USA brand. And I think it's important to talk about because you could technically probably drive your costs down significantly by going outside of the USA, but you say that's just not something that we'd be willing to do. Can you talk about why that's so important to you?
Yeah, I can, and I'd love to. It's something that's become a passion of mine, and I'll admit right up front, before I got into business, I really didn't care that much where my stuff came from. I just wanted quality stuff, like I think a lot of people. But now that I've actually had to set up 2 production chains, one in Southern California and one here, and I've had to spend 9 months to a year to find somebody that would make my wine opener for a reasonable price, and other products. I'm starting to understand how difficult it is for companies that make the commitment to say, hey, we're a made in America brand. And it's so important to me because I made the commitment that we're either going to thrive here or we're going to die here. We're going to make it or we're not. And it's because I want to keep my dollars and I want to keep my employees here in the United States of America. Believe it or not, there's a lot of us out there, that put uniforms on. I joined the Navy the week after 9/11. I love this country a lot more than I actually love my business. And for me, it's just the right thing to do. I've had other businesses approach me after the Shark Tank and say, hey, we'll make your product for a quarter of what you're making it for now in the USA. And I said, you know what? Absolutely not. Thank you. But we're going to keep what we're doing here. And I think if more people would do that, it would really help our economy and we'd start to see a lot of jobs come back. And so that's why it's so important to me, just because I feel like it's the right thing to do.
That's awesome. You don't hear that often.
No.
I love the country more than I love my business. So we only have a few minutes left. Can you talk about what it's been like working with the Sharks?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really good experience. It's been a learning experience. I mean, when we all sit there and we watch the Shark Tank, I remember thinking, man, I gotta get Mark Cuban on my team. Everything this guy touches turns to gold. And I also remember thinking, man, Kevin O'Leary's smart, but man, he's mean. That was the one guy that we didn't plan to partner up with just because I thought he would be the one ripping us up, on the set saying, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Let's take it behind the barn and shoot it like he always says. But actually, Kevin O'Leary, for people that actually know him, is one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet, and he's got a really big heart, and he's a family man. I honestly, I think he's one of the most, brilliant investors on the show, and because he doesn't get his heartstrings pulled like a lot of the other investors. I've actually seen him cry because a pitch was so powerful, but he didn't invest in the business because the numbers didn't make sense and add up. And so, getting to know these guys, I've got to know Kevin a lot more than I have Mark, but it's been cool to see how they operate and that they really do care. Like, for instance, it's been very difficult for us to get on a lot of the media outlets that Kevin O'Leary has an open door invitation into just because of his celebrity, because we're a non-PC product. Nobody, a lot of these shows do not want a bullet on their program.
Interesting.
But Kevin O'Leary has continued to fight. And a matter of fact, it looks like within the last week or so, he's opened up the doors after a couple times being told no on QVC. It looks like we're going to actually be able to go on that show now. So,
Nice.
just that's been super cool that he's been so diligent, and he's really fought for our company. With Mark Cuban, the thing that we had to realize is that, Mark Cuban owns his humongous companies, then he has his mid-sized companies, and then he has about 70 or 80 Shark Tank companies. So you have to be really realistic, because like you and I, he's a human being. He's only got 24 hours in the day. So what he's done, because he's only got so many hours in the day, is he's actually built a company called Mark Cuban Companies, and it's in Dallas, and it's about 30 employees to my knowledge, and we work with them every single day. They help us with our bookkeeping, accounting, IT, new product development, and all sorts of stuff. So, it's really cool to have those guys on your team and on your side, and it really helps you when you're making deals or negotiating to be able to throw their names around and leverage those guys. And a lot of the times that really helps us. We'll actually have companies come to us and be like, hey, we want you to be a part of this program, and we're willing to give you guys a 20 to 30% price reduction because of you being a Shark Tank company, because you being a Mark Cuban or Kevin O'Leary company. So
Nice.
It's been really cool.
That's awesome. Well, this is Eli Crane. He is the founder of Bottle Breacher. For anybody listening, make sure you check it out, bottlebreacher.com. I got one. I was so impressed with the packaging of it. It's just like a beautiful piece of art beyond the fact that it's also a bottle opener. Thank you so much for joining us today, Eli.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Eli. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.